Welcome to Flutter Explorer. In this tutorial, we are simplifying monitor connection setup using Riverpod and Internet Checker, which not only monitors Wi-Fi and mobile data connections, but also pings specific address to ensure reliability about the connection. So we're gonna start with the counter page here. So our counter page consists of a scaffold having a center with some text. So I'll start running the app. Let's wait for Flutter to be built and install the APK in debug mode. Yeah, so two things we need here. The first one will install as Flutter Riverpod, and second one will be our internet connection checker plus, which is supported in all the platforms. So first we will install Flutter Riverpod here. Right, then we'll internet connection plus connection checker plus. This will be the second package we'll install, right? So we have a basic counter page as you saw here, right? We'll create a new feature called monitor connection, right? And here we'll do two things. The first one will be creating a view folder and creating a controller folder, right? And in the view folder we will put monitor connection view. Dot. In this we'll create a widget having the name monitor connection view, and we'll import the material here as needed, right? Before doing that one, what we'll do, we'll put extension to use internet and widget, right? So any widget can use this widget monitor connection view as its extension. So we'll create widget monitor connection, right? Which will require a nullable no internet widget, right? So user have like optionality here to whether to pass the no internet widget or not. So here we'll return monitor connection view, right? But we need to have to pass the child and the no internet widget. So the child will be the current view we are in, and a no internet widget will over it, so it will be in stack. So we'll create that one. So we'll create final widget child, right? And another one will be final widget, which will also nullable. So we'll create a default default no internet widget that we can use. So we'll name it as no internet widget, right? And here what we'll put, we'll just create the constructor, right? And for no internet widget we'll pass the same no internet widget as we get, and in child we put this. So whoever extend it, that will be the child, and you can also give optionally the no internet widget as needed. So what we'll do, first we'll make sure in the main.dart in counter page, right? So we'll put no internet monitor connection widget there, right? We'll remove the const so we can check that whether it's working or not. So two things we need here, right? In the controller we'll have to create an internet checker pod, right? So those are the notifier and some providers. I will name it as pods, right? So I'll create one pod, name internet checker pod dot. So in the notifier, what we'll do, so we'll create first internet status notify, right, dot. Right. So what we'll do here, we'll create a stream notifier, namely auto display stream notifier, right? We'll first use stream notifier. So the stream notifier name will be internet status notifier, right, which will extend auto display stream notifier, and we'll make it what is the state it holds, internet status, right? So in the stream also it will return the internet status, right? So internet status. So before doing this one, so we need to have to return something in the initial. So the build method is the initial value you want. So before doing that one, what we'll do, right, in internet checker pod, two things we need. So first thing will be whether there will be enable and disable option of monitor connection. If you want to override, it will override and will give your child as it needed. So we'll create the first enable internet checker pod, right, enable internet checker pod, right. It's created. What we'll do, I'll import provider.autodispose, and what it will give, will have a bool which will return. So it's always to be true, but if it's needed you can override and make it false, right? So then we need internet checker pod here, right, which will handle our status, right? As we created the stream notifier, we will need to create a provider of stream notifier provider, right? I'll just type stream notifier provider, right? So we'll name it as internet checker pod, right? So then we need to have the status notifier name as needed here in the first place, right? And in the second place, we'll have to check the class name. Class name should be capital, so we'll put internet status notify here and here, right? And then the second, after the comma, we need the state it holds, right? We put it here and then we'll input it, right? So it said that stream notifier provider, but we need auto dispose one. Then we'll go with the stream, right? So we'll check that one. Before that one, we have the enable internet checker, right? And then we'll create an instance of the internet checker class itself. So if it's needed, we can also override that one later, right? So what we'll do, we'll create a provider, right? We'll check internet connection checker, right, pod, which will give us back the instance of internet checker plus that we will use, right? So it will named as internet connection. So in that return, we'll do one thing. So internet connection with dot create instance, as we need an instance of it, and we'll mention the check interval, right? So in check interval, what we have to do, put the duration. So in the duration, we can just put that seconds will be 5, right? And you can give like whether you want to use default options or not, and also the check options there, right? We will not use check options now, but you can also modify that one or customize as you need. So we have the internet connection checker pod, which will give us the what the instance of internet connection, connection class, right, and right, what it will give a stream provider of internet status, right, and a flag, right, a flag provider to disable or enable internet checker, right. What we need now in internet status to notify. So what we'll do, whether first we'll check whether the internet checker is enabled or not, right. So what we'll do, we'll create a variable, and here we will watch what enable internet connection checker pod. So it will give the value, so we can check if enabled, right, what you want to do, and else what you want to do. So in else condition we should return the internet connection that connected, as it's not enabled, so our widget should be shown, right. We'll put one thing here, return stream.value internet connection, internet status dot connected, and if the internet checker is enabled, what we'll do, one thing we'll do here, that we should first get the status change, right. So status change, whatever the status string we will cut from that instance, will put here. So ref.watch internet connection checker pod, right, dot on status change. We'll have to call this one, so it will give the status change, and then we'll return status change dot distinct, right. So it will always give distinct element of that status. We have now ready the internet checker pod, right. So what we'll do, we'll go to that monitor connection view, and in the monitor connection view you have to do one thing here, right. So before doing that one, we'll create a class, maybe we can use some snippets. So the snippets will name as default no internet widget, right. This will be default one. If the user doesn't give this no internet widget here, there is no worry, so we can have a snack bar, or maybe we can customize it as your choice. So in here what we'll do, so if we'll have to pass the no internet widget here also, right. Right, and first then we'll create the constructor as needed, and here we'll make this stateless widget to stateful, and we'll make it to consumer stateful, so you can access the ref object everywhere, right. So we'll make this one as consumer state, for same here also consumer state, so we'll have the ref object inside the state class itself, right. So here we'll do two things. So in the build method, what we'll do, we'll have to get the status, right. I'll put the status as status async, as it's a async value, right, and here we'll should check internet checker pod, right. This will give us the string, right. So and one other thing we have to do, ref.listen, right, internet checker pod, right, the same pod we want to listen, so we can react, or we can store the next and previous value according to our uses. So the here we want to do is that when the user connected in the first time, right, so it should not get into that internet disconnected state rather, and we want to know actively that if the user disconnected first time or the second time it's disconnected, right, if there is a previous state also, right. So what we'll do, we'll store the internet status here, so we'll put internet status, right, the last result, we'll store this one, right? And what we'll do, we'll create a listener, internet listener, which will get only internet status, right? And we'll keep the status here, so we can switch, right, about the status. So we can say that internet status dot connected, and there will be another case, what, internet status dot disconnected. So why I am doing so, I'll let you know. So here we'll put the last result as status, right? So we are storing here to check if the previous is disconnection and currently now it is connected, what you want to do. So to do that one, you have to do two things here, right? We'll do the break statement. So here you can put like on data reconnection, if you want to like refresh the API or something, you can do this here, right? So you have to check if last result double equal to internet status dot disconnected, right? And it's currently now connected, right? The current status is connected, but the last result, if it is disconnected, you can like do any refresh work here, right? Like you can invalidate any provider or client, whatever you have created, so you will get the latest result as you want, right? So this much. Then in the listener we have to call that function. So before calling that one, what you have to do, so you have to check if next is async data. So whatever the value are we getting the from the async value here, right? Async value only have three states: async data, async error, and async loading. If it's async data, and then we'll do, we'll put the status as next step value, so we'll get, as you know, the status, right? And here what we'll check, if the status is not equal to null, right? What we'll do, we'll have to call only internet listener with the status, right? So then we need one more thing, because we have a status async here as we mentioned, right? What we'll do in status async, we have to have three values. According to that, we'll have to show some widgets, right, in data and in error and in loading, right? So in loading we can show one thing here, a circular progress indicator, or maybe you can choose your own if it's needed, right? I'll choose the circular progress indicator. And in error, what I'll do, I'll have a material banner, right, having the content there as a text widget, right, which will show some information what the error we have got. And also in that material banner we'll have a elevated button. So we'll create the text widget first, unable to check internet due to $error. What of the error, we'll just show that one. And in actions, what we have to create a button, elevated button, and unpressed we'll have to do the refresh mechanism there, refresh the no internet checker itself. So what we'll have to do in text, we'll make sure it will be retry, right? So as we unpressed, what we'll do, ref dot invalidate, right, internet checker port. So we'll on retry, if the user wants it, click on the elevated button, it will restart the internet checker connection, right? So in the data phase, what we'll have to do, so in data phase we'll return align, right, and So here we'll have to check that alignment should be top center, as we want the snack bar in the top, right? And the height factor, according to that we'll check if the status, the current status as it holds, right? We'll change this one, the status, as you see here. This will give us internet status, right, as in data. Height factor, whenever the status is that internet status disconnected, will give it size, right, the height factor, else it will give no size. We are just mentioning this one here, right? So in the next part we'll do, we'll need to pass the child. So if the status, right, double equal to, if the status is disconnected, what we'll have to show the no intent widget as given by the user itself, right? Widget dot no intent widget, else we can show what, a material banner, right? Material banner, else will show what, a size box or string, right? So if there is a disconnection happen, whatever the user given the custom of widget will show that one. If that is not given, then we'll show a material banner, right? Else will not show anything, so only the child will be visible. So what we'll do here, so in no intent widget, right, in that material banner, right, we'll put the content as text and we'll show a message that no internet connection or no internet available, right, because it's in disconnected state. So in actions we'll put an elevator button, right, and unpressed we'll put the refresh mechanism of that. So the user wants, it can refresh it. We'll press the connection to check again whether the connection is active or not. So in the text we'll put OK, right? So on error we are retrying, on like on disconnection, if there is no widget given by the user, will show a material banner with OK. So whenever the user clicks on OK, it will refresh the internet checkup port. So we have completed the default no internet widget now, right? So one more thing we need to do with that, what in the connection monitor or the monitor connection view, what you have to do here, we'll have to have a material widget here. So according to that, when we want to choose like what to show, we can show. So you can see in the emulator itself, right, the material widget, it's here, and in child we'll put a stack, right, and in children we need the child as give, like whatever the child it's called on, right, that we have welcome to Flutter Explorer. And if there is nothing, I'll not give the child again, rather we'll put the error widget as given, right? So for that one, what we'll do, so it should be on the top, left 0, right 0, the top 0, where the message should show. So you can adjust according to your requirement, right? We'll put the animated switch widget here, right, and the duration will put as 900 milliseconds, right, or you can put like more if you need, right? So I'll put to check seconds, 2 seconds. Let's just put that one. And in animated size we'll put the child as default no internet widget as it's required there, and in no internet widget we just have to pass the no internet widget. So, and as you can see, there is no provider scope. For using Riverpod, we need to have our material lab to be wrapped with provider scope, right? Provider scope, and we'll put const right, and then we'll restart. Right. We need to restart because it's using the method channel. So what we'll do, we'll just rerun it. Let's wait for installation. It's completed, right? So maybe you're not able to show that internet connection. So for the loading, we'll use linear progress indicator. That will be because we are showing here in the top, so at least we get that it's working. So if I refresh, right, so because it's got the internet connection, so it's not showing anything. So if I put, right, so you can see no internet available, it's now showing. If I click OK, it will try to refresh because there is no internet available, it will not. So it is also reactive. So what you will do, if you put airplane mode off, so you can see the snack bar is gone and the page is showing, right? And as I told earlier, you can also customize where you want to show this, right, the widget, the error widget as you need. Also you can customize like whether it should be replaceable or something. So you can see whenever I'm changing the state to airplane mode on and off, you can see here, right, the no internet available is showing, and if I put no internet as active, right, and if I put yes, I think we need to have the internet connection ready, right, if I put on, so you can see the no internet available is coming up. So you have a good animation there, and you can see it's gone. And if I put off, you can see it's slowly coming from the bottom, right? So we have done, right, the no internet widget here. So the next thing, we'll write some text around it, so you can at least use in production, right? What we'll do for the test, we'll in the test folder, if it's not there, we'll create it, right, we'll create in test folder. So in test folder, we'll have to use, so in test folder we'll create a folder called internet or monitor connection test, right, or we'll just put as monitor connection, right, and in this folder we'll just put internet checker pod dot, right. So I think it's created as a folder, but we need a file. Delete it and create again internet checker pod underscore test, right, and we'll create the main function now, right. Are you sure the connection is working fine, right? So in main, what we'll do, we'll initialize test with Flutter binding dot and so initialized, because sometime calling the method channels to check it, right. So we'll create a group here, group of test, and we'll put the name is internet checker test, right, and here we'll create the tests, right, and the description we will give. So if internet checker is disabled, right, then by default internet status should be connected, right. We are just checking the states we have put it in the build method in internet status notify, is it satisfying that test or not, right? So what we'll do here, so as we need a container, a provider container, so we'll put container equal to provider container here, right? And two things we need, as enable internet checker by default is true, we need to override it to make it false, so we can check whether it's working or not, right? What we'll do, enable internet checker pod dot override with value, we'll put false here, right? So and then we'll put commas, and we got the container where we can use add tier down, and here we can just use that container dot dispose. So whenever there is like the test is done, we want it to be disposed of like the container. This one is the same provider container the Riverpod uses in the provider scope, as you can see here, right? So in unit testing we need the provider container because we don't have provider scope here, right? So what will check that final status is that await container. So before using await, we need to mark it as async here, right? Await container dot what read internet checker pod dot future, right? First we need to get that one, and we can put async here also, but yeah, in the test we need, in the group we don't need async. So we got the status, current status, and we can just check that's the status. It should equal to what, internet status dot connected, right? So you can see here that if there is no internet checker is disabled, it should return the connected. So we'll run and test it. Right now the test is passed. Yeah, it's working fine. Then the next case will be, right, but if internet checker is enabled, if it is enabled, we are not overriding anything. So what it should do, then by default internet status should be, not by default, but internet status should be connected because we are connected in the system itself, right? So in here we'll write our test, right? And before that one we'll put here it is async. So I can create a container here, right? The Riverpod container, as we need to read all those providers. We'll put provider container here, and then what, add tier down, we'll have to add, and we'll have to make it will be container dot dispose as tier function, right? We'll use this one, and then first time we'll get the status calling await rep dot read, right? Internet checker pod dot future, right? And we don't have ref here, so what we have to use, the container, right? We got the status. Then what we can check, that expect later, we can just check await container, right? Then we'll read the internet checker pod whether it has internet connection checker, I think interconnection dot future, right? Hash, that should be method. Whether it have the internet connection or not. So what we'll do, okay, I got that one. So you need to wrap it over a parenthesis, right? And then we can use what we have to use, whether it has, right? You need to check. I have it container to read. Then you have to check internet connection checker port. So we can just check internet connection checker port, that instance we need. So here we have to check has internet access. If it is returning what equals false or not. So like if internet checker is disabled, we have to check the disableness here. Then so what we'll do, have to do in the provider container here, we'll need to override enable internet checker port dot override with value that false. So we disable the internet checker, right? And then we'll check that it should not have any internet connection here, right? And then we can just check the status there. So what we'll do, the next thing, we'll do container read internet connection checker port dot on status change dot listen, because we are not using any widgets here. So to use it as a like watch functionality, we just have to listen it, right, the strip. So then what we'll do, expect the status should be connected, right? Internet status should be connected at the first place, sorry, after listening, right? And then we'll expect that container dot read internet connection checker, internet connection, where it is, sorry, internet connection checker port, right, dot check interval. We'll check the interval whatever given by the default, it is there or not. So you can just put equals the duration we have given, right, equals with the duration seconds 10. I think we have put it that the value as 10, right, or 5. Okay, we'll change it as required. Then we'll do one more thing here, that, right, and we forgot one thing, if I remember correctly. We don't have any change functionality to test whether the stream, if there is a value change, to simulate in the test, right? What we'll do, we'll have to create a change function, right? So what I have to do, create a void change, so we can have our like internet status, right, and we can just say that status, and here we can just put state equal to async data the status. So it is for like to check in the state and test mode whether the current instance have we want to change the current state for that region. I have put it here. So in the next thing, what you have to check, right, we check the the interval is the same or not as given, right, and then we can check that, then we will change, right, container dot read, and it will be internet checker port. So to access those functions inside notifier, we have to call internet checker port dot notifier, and then outside we have to call change, and in change we can give the status as disconnected, right. And one more thing we can do here, the change function should be only visible for testing, right. So we have changed, so we can again read what the internet checker port that, and we'll check with the required value that it should have, right, what equals that internet status should be disconnected as we change the status, right? And we'll run the test now. Let's see whether it's, and expected false, but actual instance is futureable. So where it fails, okay, we don't have put it, we have not put it. What I think we need to put await here, if I know correctly, await. So why it got has internet access, it's to be awaited, not the read, and we can now, right, now the test also pass, right? So I think most of things we have covered. So to check it, what we'll do, we'll put the test coverage to be run, right? You can check what are the things left in that notifier itself, right? So you can say what are the things here we can watch. You can see all of the cases we have covered up mostly, and the notifier only that 71.4% still completed, right, as the coverage. We want it to 100%, so we'll do another test, right? And here we'll mention that if the internet checker, right, enabled, right, is enabled, then by default internet status should be but connected. Should be connected. Then what are the things we left? I think if it is enabled, we are not checking what is the status it's coming up, right? So for that we'll write some test, right? So we need to have a container, we'll copy it, but we don't need to override this enable internet checker pod because it's by default true, right? And then we'll put the same tear down function there, right, and we'll put it here, right? And now like you can just check that final status, right, await container dot read internet checker pod dot future. So we are checking await, it should be, yeah, and before that one we need to mark the test as async. And then what we'll have to do, we have to check expect later, right, await container dot read internet connection checker, right? So we'll have to put internet connection check pod, right, dot future, sorry, not here, container checker has internet on the outside, has internet access, whether it has or not. So we'll put the matcher as equals false, right? In the first place it will not have any internet connection, right? We'll run it to check it's everything going fine, yeah. So right, then what we'll do, the same thing we have to do to make it alive. We need to have create this string, right, we are listening to it, right, and then we'll have to, so the status that's already been given, it should be disconnected, right? So we'll check that the internet status should be disconnected, right? And then we need to check the same interval we're not checking because we previously checked it, right? Then what will check, container dot read internet checker pod, right, dot notify, right? If it is enabled, it should show, right? Then we'll just change it, the status internet status dot disconnected, as previously it is connected, right? And then we can just expect the container dot read internet checker pod dot require value, as we know the value will be here, right, equals, it should be disconnected. I'll run it to check it's everything fine. Yeah, so I'll refresh the running test coverage. So yeah, you can see now your internet status notifier is 100% covered up using test, and here also the same, and we got, yeah, this much we have to do, right. Thank you for joining us today on Flutter Explorer. If you found this tutorial helpful and would like in a full depth Riverpod tutorial, please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more exciting Flutter content. Thank you.